channel, guys. Today we are going to build this expandable table view which you are seen in this screen. It's very easy to build, so we will start building by creating a new project. So you know these steps to create a new project. I'm going to fast forward this a bit because everyone knows how to create a new project. So here we go. We have created a new project. Let's check whether everything is working properly by running the project. I'm going to run this in iPhone X simulator. As you can see, now we are good to go. So we will start some coding. So I'm going to build everything programmatically from start to end. So let's create an extension and let's create a new function to create a table view programmatically. So I'm going to create a variable table view for my table view, and I'm going to instantiate the new table view. I'm going to give this style as plain, and set the auto layout constraints as false. And I'm going to create a cell identifier. As you know, table is reusable, and to identify it uniquely you have to give a cell identifier. So now I'm going to register my cell using the cell identifier. Then I'm going to add my table view to the view. So now let's create some constraints for the table view. So I'm going to give left, so everything is programmatically, so I'm going to give left, top, right and bottom constraints which relates to the view which holds the table view. To work this constraints properly, we have to activate those constraints which is added. So we are going to activate the constraints. Now we have created our table view successfully. To see to see whether the table view is working properly, we have to add data source methods. So I'm going to implement data source methods for the table view. So let's start by adding number of sections to check whether the table view is working properly. For now I'm going to return 3 sections and which hold 5 rows in each section, and in the cell forward index path I'm going to return the cell by using the cell identifier. So I'm going to return the cell to see something in the view. So I'm going to return output which prints cell, section and the row. Now call to the method which we created the table view inside the ViewDidLoad method. Save the everything and run the project to see whether the implementation is working properly. Yeah, here we go, so that we can see it works properly. So now we can continue the development. Now what I'm going to do is to create a model to hold the data which we used in the table view. So I'm going to create a new model, use users. Inside that file I'm going to create a struct. I'm going to name it as let's name it as users, and I'm going to create another struct which called user. So inside that user I'm going to have one variable called name, and inside the users I'm going to have whether this is hidden and the user data array. So let's go to the view controller and we are going to add some data. So I'm going to create another extension which adds some data. So I'm going to create a new method called assignData. So inside that assignData I'm going to create some dummy data which hold users. So I'm going to create a new variable called users, which is a new array which the type is users. So I'm going to assign some data for that array. So let's add that this is not net, and for the users I'm going to create new 3 users inside this user array. So I'm going to name it as firstly my name Caldera, then I'm going to add another name which is Ronaldo, and then Kazi, and I'm going to add a new data. I'm going to copy paste and just edit the names. So let's add few names. This one as Chewy and Bolt and Sirisena, and then the Mahinda. This one is Lasit, Malinga, and finally Nuan. So I feel like Sirisena is not suitable, so I'm going to add Kulasegara for that instead of Sirisena. So now we are good to go. Let's use this data to show inside our table view. So do not forget to call the assignData method inside the ViewDidLoad. So I'm going to return the number of sections as users count. We will get 4 sections, and I'm going to return the rows as how many users inside the users array. So let's get the user count. So in each section we should see 3 rows. Let's run and check that everything is working properly. So yeah, as we can see, everything is working properly, and we can see the section and the rows properly. So now I'm going to show some data using the users array. So I'm going to bind some data to show with the table view. I'm going to print the name with the label. So I'm going to grab the username by using section and the index path, its row. So yeah, definitely we cannot use another type. So we are going to use name and save everything and run the project. Now we should see the names of the users with our table view. So now we are going to add some headers to our sections. For that we have to implement Table View Delegates methods. So I am going to self-assign the Table View Delegates method, and I created a new extensions, so you can see the code clearly with the extension. So I'm going to implement some delegates methods. I'm going to return 40 as height of my header section, and I'm going to return a new view as my header. So I'm going to create a new view which holds the width as the screen width and the height as 40. I'm going to set the background color as light gray, and we can return the view which we created. With this I'm going to create a button which is inside the header view. This button is responsible to handle the action for our expandable table view. So I'm going to give the x value as 10, y value as 5, width as 100 and the height as 40 for this new button. Now let's add a title for the button, and I'm going to give the title as section and its section number as the title. And now add the button to your view which you are going to return. So let's run the project and check whether the header and the button appears properly. Yes, as you can see it works properly. So now we are good to go, and we can continue the development for expandable table view. And I'm going to change the plane to group because it appears nicely than the plane. Now I'm going to create an action to handle the expandable. So I'm going to create another extension, and I'm going to create a button action called collapse, and I'm going to print something inside that. Then we can first check whether the button touch event is working properly. So I'm going to assign the button action. First I'm going to set up the tag as the section, and I'm going to add target for that button, self target button, which the selector is the function which we created right now. So before I'm going to run, I'm going to print the button tag as well. Then we can identify that each button is binded properly to each section. So I'm going to run and I'm going to click each section. Now you can see each prints into the correct order. Now we are going to do the tricks to hide and show or expand and collapse these sections when user tap on the section. So I'm going to get this selected index from the array, and I'm going to set the hidden function as true, because all the hidden functions we set up the hidden variable as false when we are creating the array. So I'm going to assign the value and assign that value to the array and its index. So now we can see when you are clicking on this section, it before it was the false and now it's true. So now we can see that our trick is working properly. So what we are going to do is we are going to implement the logic inside the number of rows method. So what we are going to check here is if the hidden value is true or false. If the hidden value is true, then we are not going to return any value, and if the is hidden is true or false, we are going to return the exact count of the array. So finally we should reload the table view. Now save the everything and run with the our logic is working properly. So as you can see, when you are clicking in the section, it works properly. It expands, it hides the data, but when we click again it doesn't work properly. So now we are going to fix that part. What we are going to do is when section is clicked, if it is true, we are going to set it false, and if it is false, we are going to set it true. Then it works vice versa. So now we change the logic and save and everything and run the project. So as we can see, when we are clicking this section, our logic is working properly. And hope you guys enjoy the video, and thank you very much for watching.